Got Your Back Podstream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at mrdirk.com.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. You can't trust a forward. Listen to my words tonight. Don't just fall in love with my face. I used to be somewhat of a big deal, wheeling, dealing, no bucket in the warm-up, people carrying my bags in. How many times do I have to tell you through text, let's talk about the PK? That is a dirty hit that needs a response. I like a stiff, stout pillow. We'd rather dress nobody than dress you.
The only thing I like better than easy points are free Slurpees.
Goalies embellish all the time. He tumbled over like he was hit by a Zamboni. Am I this good, or are we just winning by 7 goals, and that's why I'm out here? Just say, I know you're right, Struddy. Just get it out. I think I am the modern day Ronnie Dangerfield.
Yeah, I get no respect.
It's time for Struddy's World, presented by Weiss Johnson. And now here's the man his high school classmates voted most likely to go off the glass and out. It's Jason Strudwick.
Oh, wow. How's everybody doing today? What an intro. Holy jeez. That makes a guy feel pretty good about himself. Welcome to the first ever Struddy's World, brought to you by Weiss Johnson Heating and Air Conditioning. Weiss Johnson's offering 10% off and a new furnace installed before March 1st. Should you need to replace your furnace because it stopped working or it's just getting old, get yourself a new furnace that is as hot as Zubie's glove hand. Mention you heard it on Got Your Back podcast when you book your estimate, and you receive 10% off your new furnace. For the first time, jingle us.
Weiss Johnson, whoa. We're proud to be local.
Welcome in, everybody. Really excited about the first ever Struddy World. And obviously, we're here in my studio, brought to you by Adrenaline Diesel, Edmonton's premier heavy-duty diesel truck repair shop in this fabulous Adrenaline Diesel studio. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Myself, here's Zubie. Zubie, you outdid yourself with that intro. I sound like one of the coolest people I know, and I know over 15 people in my life.
And I can't even tell you how many golden nuggets I had to cut from there. That could have been a 4-minute intro of all the quick hitters, of all the great stuff I had. There's a lot of topics we didn't even get into, but it was fun. It was fun to make, and I wasn't up till my usual 2 or 3 in the morning. I think I wrapped it up around 1 last night. So
it's so good. And
that was one thing off my plate, one part of my anxiety that came down.
Well, you nailed it. I got to upgrade my studio like that. Our studio is brought to you by Adrenaline Diesel, specializing in powertrain tuning, performance, and parts sales. Visit adrenalinediesel.ca. Zubie, I can't believe they let us have this. Our own show. I'm so excited. I know we're both a little nervous. We're going to try to get this one right, but we've got so many cool things that you and I kind of talk about on the side. And I kind of just want to set up for our listeners what it's going to be all about. Obviously, There's going to be a lot of Oilers talk, and that'll usually be right away in our up to speed segment where a member of our team, like Ryan Rashog, will join us, maybe Rob Brown. Today we're going to have Cam Moon momentarily, and just tell you what's going on up to the Oilers up to that very moment. So that's going to be a lot of Oilers talk there. And then Struddy's buddy, we're going to bring in a friend of mine, a friend of Zubie and I's. We're going to alternate Jamie McLennan from Overdrive Noodles, him really well, and Darren Drago. They'll give us their opinion on the Oilers. Then we'll talk Leafs. I love the Leafs, and then we'll go around the NHL as well. So that's kind of your Oilers and your NHL buzz in there. We'll get into the standings to keep you, make sure you're clear about the Oilers aren't standings. And then, Zubie, you're going to find other kind of interesting little tidbits as far as where teams are moving up and down. You got an interesting one today we'll get to later.
Odds and ends, just something that caught my eye. And that'll be a weekly segment as well.
And then play the field. We're going to talk about things going on around the world of sports. Now, they may be hockey, they may be football, basketball, whatever kind of piques our interest, and we'll kind of talk about it and get into it with our listeners, Zoobs.
MLB, NBA, NFL today. I think we're touching on all 3 of those.
Yeah, we are. And then a segment we're both really excited about is called Get Off My Fence, or Get Off the Fence. And the idea is Zubie and I will tweet it out the day of the show. and then we'll have a chat about it. And today we're going to talk about a mistake another Toronto sports team made, or in my opinion. And we'll talk about it, give our opinion, the facts as we know them, present them, and then we can all chime in, including the listeners. Don't afraid to chime in on our stream, Twitter, wherever you want to find it. So, Zubie, did I miss anything as we went through this bad boy?
I think that's the show. I think Get Off the Fence is going to become a big thing. And we're not doing a poll. Maybe we'll get into poll. I think today's Get Off the Fence would be a pretty one-sided poll, but it's we're going to get into strong opinions, and hopefully we'll have somewhere where we're splitting people and we get into some good conversation on the stream, which is already pumping with lots of our familiar faces and names. So happy to have everybody here going early on the big premiere episode.
Premiere, and we're so excited to have you listening and to join us. And this will be lunchtimes, right? I think lunchtime's a good time to get caught up. So let's get right into it, and we'll get into let's get into Up to Speed, brought to you by Timberhouse Developments, where if you can dream it, they can make it happen. A truly customized building experience. They've got you covered. Every house is unique. Every customer is like family. See what you can dream up together. Contact Timberhouse.ca. Now, before we get to Cam Moon, here's Cam right here. Cam, great. Let's bring him in. Cam Moon, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking some time with us today, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me. I mean, for the first show and first guest, you could have done a hell of a lot better than this, but I appreciate you having me on.
Buddy, we have a rule here that we only bring on the best, and you are the best, and we love listening to you on the broadcast, and your coverage of the team and is excellent. So thanks a lot for doing this. Now, obviously coming back from the break is difficult. I did this a number of times. Unfortunately, I was overlooked too often for either All-Star games and or Team Canada, which I'm sure they regret. But you were at practice yesterday. What did you see from this team as far as the type of practice that Chris Knobloch ran for the group?
I saw yesterday was a lot of flow, as you'd expect, being off for that long, that you would see a lot of flow type drills. So a lot of 3-on-2s, 2-on-1s. They did extended breakouts just with no pressure, but just working on, as a D, turning it up, the over, the reverse. I don't need to tell you, the D to D, yeah, all of that, the wheel behind the net. There was a lot of those, but yeah, it was a lot of flow. And then today was more one-on-one battles, more battle type drills. There was a 3-on-2 down low. They did a 3-on-3 game between the blue lines. So more small space, making quick decisions and having to battle for pucks. So yeah, I figured that would be pretty standard after having that long a break, in the middle of the season. You want to get up to speed with lots of skating early.
Yeah, you want to get your legs going. It's funny, no matter what you do over the break, in my experience, you still feel like a dog the first couple of days back. And the first one's always the worst, but it turns quickly because the team practices a couple times, and again, the flight to Philly tomorrow, then they fly on, they play practice Friday, and then 2 games on the weekend on the East Coast. I want to hear, though, from Zach Hyman. We'll listen to him here in the digital sound box, brought to you by Douglas Mattresses. If you're like me, there's nothing better than a good night's sleep after a long day. Your best sleep is just around the corner. With every mattress, they are including a free sleep bundle that includes 2 memory foam pillows, a complete set of luxury sheets, and more. Visit the Douglas Mattress Store in Manchester Square here in Edmonton, or check them out at douglas.ca/GYB. Here is Zach Hyman on coming back after the break, guys.
We got a while, so it's actually nice. We got 3 full practices, 4 days. So this is perfect. It's a good week-long break, and then obviously touching the puck, it's amazing how quickly the puck can feel foreign if you're not touching it all the time. And skating, getting the legs back, but feel a lot better after today's skate. And then we've got another 2 tough ones, and right back into it.
It's interesting, Cam, because when you look at it, obviously the pace is they're going to push it. But you don't have 97 there. 97 is preparing for a pretty important game. So what does the practice look like without 97 and the type of pace that we're normally accustomed to?
Well, yeah, it definitely takes away from the pace. It had Derek Ryan in the middle of Zach Hyman and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Of course, Derek Ryan and Matt Savoy are up with the team right now. I believe there was rules in place that if you were below a certain amount of players, you could bring a few up for practice without actually bringing them up, so to speak, if you know what I mean. So and Matt Savoy was on a line both days with Podkolzin and Draisaitl, and I thought he fit in quite well. Good to see him, as a 20-year-old guy, first-year pro, has been playing very well in Bakersfield to get the opportunity right now to skate. And, of course, Chris Knobloch saying yesterday after practice that at some point during this upcoming road trip, he's going to see some game action and get a look at him. So I think that's outstanding. I'm sure a lot of Oiler fans are fired up to see what Matt brings to the mix. Again, first-year pro, and getting an opportunity to put that jersey on in a regular season game, because I thought he showed flashes of brilliance in the preseason. So I think that's exciting. But yeah, when you have a guy like Connor not there, it's going to take the pace down a bit. And I know, of course, no Matthias Ekholm, no Victor Arvidsson as well. But I'm sure the Oilers will see those guys tomorrow or Friday at practice in Philadelphia. But yeah, it's not quite the same. You're right, Struddy. It's not quite the same if you don't have Connor out there.
We got Cam Moon here on the first ever Struddy's World podcast. Now, Mooner, I worked with Matt Savoy when he was a Bantam age player. I was able to help him, and my number one job was to not make him worse. So obviously I did a really good job at that. Just don't tell him what to do. Just stay away from him, work with the other kids. And I was impressed by his work ethic when I was there. And I've kind of followed his career. He and Dylan Gunther were similar age, and I followed both of them. And I was always amazed at their effort that they put in at such a young age, understanding what they had and what they could be. So when you look forward to, and you mentioned Chris Knobloch expects him to be in the lineup at some point, where would you put him in to the lineup to get him real minutes? Like, I think 6 to 7 minutes for a call up. I think you and I could probably play 6 or 7 minutes at this point. But to get, I think, meaningful minutes is something over 10 minutes with players that he may be suited to play with. So where would you slot him in if you were head coach?
Yeah, and a player like Matt, and given his style of play, he's not a guy that's going to grind things out on the fourth line. He's not a big body player that you're going to use to, provide some excitement and a little bit of juice into the lineup via physicality. He's the type of guy that has an incredibly high skill level. And you look at what he did in the Western Hockey League and what he has done in the American Hockey League to date, that all bears out. That's why he was a first round pick. So for me, it'd probably be, it would have to be in the top 9, wherever that may be, depending on, how things play out. Or, I don't know if that's going to be in Philadelphia, if it's going to be in Washington, or if it's going to be in Tampa, but I would guess he'd be in one of those 3 where he comes in. And he's been out there with Leon and Vasily Podkolzin for the first couple of days. That's probably Victor Arvidsson's spot to walk back into, but Matt Savoy hasn't looked out of place there. In fact, I think he's looked quite good. So it'd have to be in the top 9. Give him an opportunity to do what he does, a chance to be successful. And for him to be successful, that is showing what he can do offensively. And can he add to the mix as far as being a guy that can create opportunity? And you've watched him for a long time. I've watched him, at least through his time in the Western Hockey League, and was able to see, that was an exceptionally high skill level that he has. And that when you combine that with the exceptional work ethic, you've got a chance to be a successful player. And Matt Savoy has all of those things.
Yeah, I love that breakdown. It's so true. And I think his hockey IQ is what, Connor or Leon, hopefully at some point in the future, will like to play with him. Let's go back into our Douglas Mattresses digital sound box and hear from Draisaitl himself yesterday after practice and his thoughts on Matt Savoy.
Yeah, he looked great, I thought. He moves really well. You can tell he's got a lot of hockey sense to him. So hopefully, maybe we'll get a couple games together and see what we have in him. Of course, I think he's been playing really well down there from what I heard, and excited to see him.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think it's a great idea to get him back, or not back, but here to get his beak wet and feel what NHL looks like. Because I can tell you, it's not like the American League. Everyone's bigger and faster, and they're all smart, Mooner.
And also, like, giving him that time in the American League. He's a 20-year-old, like, played in the Western League last year. You know, like, it's a big jump, I'm sure, and you would know better than I would. But from the WHL to the American League, and being a pro for the first time and playing against, you know, men for the first time, and then everything that off the ice that it entails, because it's different than junior. The fact that he's been able to get a little over half of a season under his belt and be successful. It's not like he's put up, you know, 4 points and playing fourth line minutes. No, he's playing a lot of minutes and putting up points. So he's had that success, able to make that jump and get an opportunity here to see if, does he need more time in the American League or not? Because you're getting closer to the NHL trading deadline. It does do you a huge service to know, at least have a better idea of exactly what you've got, and if, you know, other moves, do they need to be made, or are they internal? Like, it's all part of it. So yeah, he's so far, I mean, he's done a really good job every step of the way. I can only imagine that and I've watched American League games, and I know just to the naked eye from the outside looking in, I can only imagine what it's like as a player. That jump from the American League to the NHL would be a significant one.
It is, but the Oilers need this guy, whether it's this year or next year, to be a player. The cap hit, the speed, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Another guy I believe that they need is forward Jeff Skinner. Where has he been in the lines since the comeback here? And I am advocating for him to get a real chance in the top 6. I think his game is trending better away from the puck. And much like you said about it would really help solve an internal problem, or at least give you more depth if you could play in the top 6. So where has he been practicing? And you know, where do you think he could he become or be the top 6 he was probably signed for back in July?
Well, you hope so. I don't know that yet. I wish I did, but I don't. He since coming back, he's been on the third line with Henrique in the middle and Connor Brown on the right side. And as it was looked good there, I think before the break, we were seeing some positivity there and things going in the right direction, which is good. And yeah, there's been some bumps along the way, absolutely. But the best case scenario for the Edmonton Oilers is to get the very best Jeff Skinner they can get from now to the end of the year. Yeah, you talk about internal. You need him to be his best in the second half, and then in the playoffs. You look at last year, and Connor Brown, you know, it took him a while to score, and you know, he's coming back off a significant injury that he missed a lot of time. And I know fans were becoming a little bit impatient, and I know that's weird. I mean, fans becoming impatient. That's you never hear that. But yeah, first time. And then it started to trend the right way, and he was starting to stack, you know, good game upon good game, and then getting into the playoffs, and Connor Brown was a significant contributor. That's what the Edmonton Oilers need from Jeff Skinner. Yeah, I know the first half wasn't great, but that doesn't mean the second half can't be. You look at his track record, it's been, you know, and I know hasn't played in the playoffs, I understand, but you look at the numbers that he's put up, there's a skill level there, and whether it's just been fit or whatever, I have no idea. Jeff Skinner could tell you this, but why it hasn't worked as well as you would have liked to this point, I don't know. But from now on, you're just trying to get the best as a coaching staff, as a management staff. You're just trying to get the best out of this player, because you're very likely to have him, you know, from now to the end of the year. So yeah, you got to try and get the best out of him. I think before the break, we were seeing things trend in the right direction, and now this road trip, we'll see if that continues.
Mooner, you always remember your first. Thanks for being our first guest here on Struddy's World. Thanks for the great insight, and I'm sure we'll catch up with you again further down the road here, my man.
I'm going to get a T-shirt made, and it says, "I was Struddy's first."
I think, you know what, that might be a good idea for a t-shirt. Patent pending. We're stealing
Sure.
from you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair
Thanks,
enough.
Voodoo. Catch up with you later, man.
Thanks
Enjoy
for
the rest of
having
your
me.
day.
Okay. Thanks.
Great stuff, Cam Moon. You can hear him on the broadcast Zoobs. And, you know, I've been beating up not beating up. I've been advocating for Jeff Skinner to get a chance in the top 6. It sounds like it's not there. Puck Holden's back beside Draisaitl. If Savoy plays on that line, I have a hard time seeing Savoy and Skinner on that line this weekend. So this may, in a weird way, the promotion of Savoy might be or mean a demotion or whatever, status quo for Jeff Skinner.
For Jeff's, yeah. Yeah, that's. I wonder how he feels about that. Yeah, that would be a surprising turn of events. But you're right. That seems to be the domino kind of.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and you know, in the Savoy, I did work with them for a few years, and I joke I really didn't do much with him. I tried, but he was better than I was. But his work ethic was really impressive, and I talked to him when he was maybe a little bit older, 16, 17, about his summer workouts, and I'd only invite kids out to practice that had a high engine. They wanted to get better. And a lot of the kids I know of that he had there, they all have gone on to, being successful hockey players. So he's going to work for it, right? He's going to get there. Now, the work rate at the NHL is different than at junior or different in the American League. He's going to have to figure that out. But every player goes through that, right? Every player, except maybe Sid, Mario, McDavid, these guys know that before they arrive. But I'm excited to see what he can be. I'm not sure, Zubie, he's going to be the guy for this year. And I don't want to be the downbeat guy. I think this is more about getting his beak wet for this year and understanding what it's like. And then next year, maybe pencil his name in to the top 13, 14 players on the team next year.
It sounds like it's been a good progression this year, though. Like, right. I think he even started out a little slow in Bakersfield. He's really come on. So I think it feels like he's progressing, developing in the way that you hope a young player with that offensive talent will. So yeah, I think Oiler fans are excited, but maybe we need to pump the brake, as we always do. Maybe we need to pump the brakes a little bit, but it's cool. I'm excited to see him get some time, especially if it's in the top 6. I think lots of people will be watching eagerly.
And a likable kid, right? So now you have him and Philp. Again, are they solutions this year? I'm not sure, but I'm sure there'll be solutions on the team for next year. Were Noodles ready, buddy?
Yeah, we got Noodles.
Okay, then let's do it. It's time for the first ever Struddies, buddy.
Oh, except are we throwing to break first and then bringing Noodles
sorry, my
in?
bad. I'm so excited. I'm just rolling through it. Yes, let's do the break, my man. My bad. We'll come back with Struddies Buddies next.
For over 60 years, Belvedere Golf and Country Club has delivered a high-quality membership experience to Edmonton and area. And now it's even better. Drainage and irrigation improvements in 2024 have taken course conditions to a new level. This commitment to long-term sustainability means exceptional playing conditions all season long. Belvedere's tee sheet availability is unmatched, so join now and experience golf the way it was meant to be played, on your schedule. Visit belvederegcc.com today.
Dennis here from Weiss Johnson. Are you looking to get into the trades or have a kid graduating high school wondering what to do? Weiss Johnson is looking for career-minded people to work for us. Opportunities truly are endless. Become a service technician, gas fitter, refrigeration technician, install residential or commercial heating and plumbing systems, fireplace installations or service, duct cleaning. We are the company where you can learn all aspects of the trade and pick which career path to take. We have an awesome benefits package and offer school reimbursement too. Visit wjcareers.com today.
Then we'll bring in Noodles or whatever order, it doesn't matter. I just want to use it. All right. Before we get to Struddy's Buddies, I want to get back to the Douglas Mattresses digital sound box, and let's listen to Leon Draisaitl on finding line mates for 97 for Team Canada.
1 second. Here we go.
Obviously, he's the best player in the world. There's no doubt about it. But sometimes the good players can be hard to play with too, and you need guys that understand the way that he wants to play the game. And sometimes it fits, sometimes it doesn't fit. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. And seemed like last game, they found a little bit something there with that line.
Yeah, that's great stuff. So let's do Struddy's buddy now. And this guy, talk about nervous. He's really nervous. Struddy's buddy brought to you by HSC Core Services. If you're a small to medium-sized business, HSC Core has your back when it comes to health and safety compliance. From creating and managing a tailored health and safety program that meets all legislation and core requirements, HSC Core supports clients' operations every step of the way. Visit www.hsccore.com. That's hsccore.com for more info. And there he is, all dressed up, a black t-shirt. You really mixed things up today, you old dog.
I wanted to dress like you. I mean, what are you wearing? A pullover? No, it's a cardigan. Thank you. I mean, honestly, I've had a day already. I'm telling you, it's been a gong show. I just barely made it to the show. Put it that way. I'm very excited. I am a little nervous to be here. You know, it is the debut show of Struddy's World, so I better perform. I will perform for you.
Yeah, we tried to get Brian Hayes, but he was having a root canal. So it's you. We got you in here. You know, Noodles, I want to talk a little bit about the Oilers, but when you look at Connor McDavid at the World Cup, how have you seen the coaching staff manage the line mates for him and finding the right guys?
I mean, it started with Mitch Marner, because I know if you heard John Cooper leading up to the tournament of what he thinks of Mitch Marner, how elite he is as far as a passer and how he handles the puck. But it didn't work. So you could tell right away Connor needs somebody to get the puck, but he also needs speed. So right away it's Marner off and it's Braden Point. And to me, Braden Point is an elite. If you look at it, you know, our buddy Iggy always talks about that NHL edge. The speed bursts or whatever. Braden Point's always near the top of the league as far as speed. So you put a worker on that line. Boy, Zach Hyman looked pretty good there right now, wouldn't he? I mean, you know, let's put Mark Stone there, but let's have, you know, Zach Hyman would be probably the perfect player to handle the grittiness, handle the forecheck, all of that type of stuff. But you know, he's got a tan somewhere. I guess they're back skating now. So, I mean, who knows? But he was laying on a beach when this was all going down. But, yeah, I think finding Connor the right line mates, you need speed, you need creativity, but you also need to be able to think the game because Connor, you know, he's 5 steps ahead of everybody. So you have to be in the right area. That's why I thought it was a slam dunk for Zach Hyman to be there. But I guess maybe I was on an island with that choice.
Yeah, it would have been pretty easy to plop him in there. I think that instant chemistry you see between Crosby and McKinnon, and now you see it. You could have seen it between Hyman and McDavid, but here we are, and I think the lines are right. I want to circle back for my Leafs friends about Mitchell Marner. So I've watched him for a number of years, and I do like his the way he plays. I think in this tournament, though, if there's some self-reflection, he'll realize that his style of game isn't necessarily the elite level that he thinks is. He produces points, but he wants to slow down the game. When I'm watching these top teams go at it, you know, these top 4, it's all about pace. Can he get it on the forecheck? And you talk about that edge program. He has a top good, high top speed, high percentile, but his number of speed bursts are quite low. So that tells me he doesn't use his speed enough to get in on the forecheck, and he wants the puck to come to him. So I think for him to move on as a player and for the Leafs to take a step, I really think Craig Berube and himself need to sit down and kind of reflect on what he could do to change his style of game. And you mentioned Point. You talk about even Sam Bennett, Cirelli. Hey, I mean, those Tampa Bay guys, Noodles, I'm in love with those guys. But you go through all those guys. They all play with tempo. The only one who isn't is Mark Stone. And I don't even want my kids to watch him skate. I want him to play everything else. And I mean, I wasn't exactly Brian Orser, the best skater, but he is not a beautiful skater, but does everything else well. So pace is, to me, lacking in Marner's game. And I wonder if he has that ability for self-reflection, because if he finds it, I think he takes another big step in his career.
You're right. It almost might be an adaptation to the way he plays. So I looked into that NHL edge as well, and it had Marner at 97%. So then I reached out, and of course Iggy goes, no, that's sometimes they're screwed up. Apparently Marner's never been above 50%. So he's not a burner. But what he is really smart, and he's super skilled. So you've got to be able to, I look at it, and you look at Kucherov, the way he plays. So Kucherov is a great example. You can count on one hand, Struddy, when you watch Tampa Bay, the amount of times that Kucherov is at full pace. He's always slowing the game down. He brings the game to him. That's what Marner's about. The difference is, if I was Mitch Marner and trying to find that level, I'd watch the way Kucherov plays in the playoffs, because he's got some edge and some bite. And and he's not a big guy. Like, Marner's not a big guy. Same thing with Kucherov. I think they're both elite passers. They're both puck distributors. And it's a way maybe to find the routes and find the avenues you need to have success in the playoffs. But I will say this: you look at all three. We're talking Leafs. They haven't been world beaters at this tournament. Nylander, Sweden wasn't. They were kind of in and out. And then, Matthews I guess, took last game off, either injury, sickness, or just, needed a rest. But Matthews and Marner at least have an opportunity in tomorrow's game to learn what it's like to win. And I think that bodes well. Same thing with Connor. Connor has won individual awards to try and win this. And I know we didn't grow up playing road hockey in Edmonton going, geez, I need a Four Nations face-off cup on my mantle. But you do go, hey, I want to play at the highest level for my country. And that's what these guys are doing. So it'll be all on the line. But the winning and losing in this tournament, there is going to be lessons learned, and being around these guys and see how they carry themselves. Like the other night, that got a little bit hairy for Team Canada. It got to 4-3, and then 87 jumps over the boards and goes, we're not losing this game. And he runs, I can't remember who he ran in the neutral zone.
Granlund.
Who was it? Granlund. Yeah, he
ran
Granlund and then just put it in the empty net and said, that's enough. Like, you see details like that. And if you're a star player on another team, you go, that's how you need to play. That's how you need to dig in. So I think through osmosis in this tournament, there'll be a lot of lessons learned for a lot of players in the league.
Yeah, I love that. And, and I think back to when you were playing 8 or 9 years old, playing street hockey. I mean, people wanted to win Vezas, not you. You said you wanted to ride someone coattails and get a Grant Jennings award. And you fulfilled, didn't you fulfill that dream?
I just grew up on pop and chips. That's all I did. And I enjoyed my life. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you know what? You're right. Riding coattails, that's what you did off the ice with me. And then on the ice, I rode Kiprusoff and Luongo and Roman Turek and Grant Fear. I got a picture of Grant Fear. Somebody sent it to me. Look at this. This is amazing. That's me as a kid with Grant Fear. Look at that.
I love that.
Future. That was me at 12 years old, Dairy Queen shootout in Edmonton in between the periods. I won that, Struddy. Got my picture with Grant Fear.
But you won it because you're getting a free Blizzard. You're like, I don't really want to go. If you win, you get a free Blizzard. I'm in. I'm coming. Yeah. I'm coming.
If you go and stop 6 breakaways, you get a free Blizzard. I ended up getting free Blizzards every game just because I was like, hey, I needed the ice cream. So I didn't realize it would take me to the NHL.
I love it. I love it. Joined by Jamie McLennan here on the first ever Struddy's World podcast. So, Noodles, we saw them play Canada or in US a couple days ago or a little while ago.
Yeah.
What adjustments outside now? We assume the lines are going to be the same. Let's assume everyone's healthy and they're all feeling good. McCarr's in there. What adjustments would you look for from John Cooper for this game Thursday night?
I think they got to get inside ice a little bit more on Hellebuck. I didn't think, Hellebuck made a couple good saves in the power play. There were a couple jam plays, but I didn't think that they got inside ice that much. And I kind of joke, and I think I might be right in this. If you take a look at the way that Team USA played, I know Mike Sullivan is the coach, but that was a Tortorella win, okay? Fights, blocking shots, and just the irritability, that was to me, that was a Tortorella win where they played great D, they didn't give up the middle, they played irritable and in your face, a pace game. So to break that, Connor's got to get speed into the middle. Braden Point's got to get speed in the middle. Cirelli, you got to challenge middle ice and force that D. Now, the difference maker, I will say, and I think Canada can win this game. The USA is banged up. Both Kachuk brothers are banged up. We know that. They're going to play, but they're not going to be at 100%. McAvoy's not playing. That guy was an animal. He literally set the tone for the USA. He ran Connor. I've never seen Connor get hit like that. And Connor got hit a couple times hard in that game. So whether they get Quinn Hughes in there or not, I think they'll find a way. Whether, they'll unfortunately serve somebody raw chicken so that somebody will be sick and unavailable. Who knows what's going to happen, but they'll find a way to get Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes is a different player than McAvoy. McAvoy was playing for keeps. So that's a big blow on the back end, him not playing. So I think there is an opportunity to take advantage of some of their injuries and some of the players not available to them, but they have to use their speed and get into middle ice. They take it to the ground, USA is going to win because they built their team that way. Canada has to work to their strengths, and that's speed and skill.
Yeah, they got and credit those D-men from the Americans. They built a wall around that net, and then if Hellebuck sees, he's going to save it. So I truly feel getting the lead will be important. Make Americans open it up a little bit. Make it open up a little bit. Obviously, goalie question. The Binner, played a really strong game against Finland. I would say a tougher goal. Lundell off the wall. What do you think his mindset is heading into this game, knowing that he has had moments that he should be proud of and some moments he'd probably like back?
The only thing that I would look for is he needs to have a game where he does not allow one bad goal. And if you look at it, every game that he's played in this tournament, you can go back to the Adrian Kempe goal against Sweden.
Yep.
We talked about Finland, the Lindell goal, the Gensel goal for US. Now, people will say, well, there was more or whatever. I'm just saying one. The critical goal you cannot give up. Canada, that building was rocking when McDavid went end to end and scored. Okay. Gensel comes down and puts a bad goal 5-hole. Yes, it's a good play by Gensel. It's a poor play by Binnington. That just sucks the air out of the balloon in that building. You imagine if they finished the first period, they finished that period up 1 Cobb, and there's been fights, and McDavid has set the tone. You just mentioned score first, but maintain the lead. Play with that lead. Play, and if you can get to 1, get to 2, now the U.S. has to open it up. So to me, that was a critical goal to not give up, or to give up. You can't do that on Thursday night. So you're right. Binnington's made some great saves. I think he's not the reason. Put it this way. He hasn't cost them games, but he hasn't won them games. And he doesn't have to win them the game Thursday, but he cannot cost them the game. That is the challenge. I mean, you guys see it every day in Edmonton. Stuart Skinner's role is to not lose the game. That's really what it is. And some nights you're like, God, I wish I would have liked that one back from him or whatever. But Binnington just has to do the job, make the saves he should, and maybe 1 or 2 that he shouldn't have.
Noodles, thanks, buddy. Really appreciate this. I know you're obviously it's laundry day, judging by what you're wearing. So, you can get back to the laundry.
Listen, I got to say this. I was on your first ever show. You were on, remember they put you on like a midnight at Sunday to try you out. And you had written down all the jokes you were going to talk about me. It was like my clothes and my lazy glove hand and that. And halfway through, I felt like you hadn't got to all the jokes, so you just started reading them off. And you've come a long way. You've come a long way. You actually, now there's some flow to the conversation. You don't write on the paper like.
It was rough. That first one, I wish you had a copy. It was so bad. 9 to midnight. I was sweating so much. I was so nervous. It was the worst. And I'd go, okay, that was Jamie McLennan. Let's go to break. Bye-bye. That's what I'd say on radio. And my boss was like, you're terrible. I'm like, I am terrible.
You had these backhanded comments. We're here with the laziest goaltender of all time, Jamie McLennan. He had the laziest glove, and he could barely touch his toes. And you'd be like, okay, so Jamie McLennan, I'm like, I know my name. You don't have to say my name 28 times.
That's the one thing my boss said. Reintroduce the guest. I just reintroduced him every second. Okay, stop that thought, Noodles. This is Jamie McLennan. I just kept saying it over and over again.
biggest ears in the National Hockey League, Jamie McLennan. Nice to see you. Like, it was literally, you had all these barbs. I was like, oh my God, he's gone overboard. But
It
you've
was a
come a
rough
long
start.
way, Struddy.
Yeah.
You've come a long way.
Thanks a lot, Noodles. We'll catch up with you again in a couple of weeks. Enjoy the game Thursday night, buddy.
All right. Thanks for having me. We'll chat soon.
Oh, Noodles, what a beauty. Absolute beauty. He took me to Phoenix. We had a really good time there. And I was quite sick, actually, but I played through it. That's all I had. I had to play through it the whole time. You don't want to leave, eh, Noodle? Oh, there he is. Zoobs. Good to have Struddy's buddy Noodles on there.
He's awesome. And there were people now you confirmed that Noodles was on that golf trip that you went on.
Yes.
But there were people even before he came on, I don't know how much you want to divulge, who wanted to know where he fit in the Mulligan discussion.
Yeah, well, it's probably unfair to say it now, but he was a goalie, so he's not very athletic, so he didn't actually golf, right? He didn't golf. It was myself, Joe McGinley, and then Tyson Ash, and then another buddy, Bill. We golf, and now we're addicted. Like every day, we're chatting about how much we're better or worse. But no, I think next time Noodles will golf. But he had to work. He was, I think, working in Tampa, so we got 2 golf games in before he got in. So
okay.
Okay, so great. So again, we're gonna have Noodles or Darren Drager every other week, depending on their schedule. So really looking forward to those guys. Great insight. We'll talk Oilers with them like we did today, and then we'll move on to other interesting matters across the NHL. But right now, buddy, let's take a look at the standings. And these are going to start moving again, people. Brought to you by Painting by Michaela. If your home interior is feeling dull or outdated, Painted by Michaela knows fresh coats are in season all year round. From winter to summer, their dependable quality service delivers a clean, flawless finish every time, done by professionals you can trust. There's nothing better than that fresh paint smell. Proudly serving the Edmonton area, they're ready to transform your space. Call 780-935-8608 today. That's 780-935-8608. Painting by Michaela. Fresh coats are always in season. They are. I love it. And if you're thinking about doing it, this group can really get it done. Zubie, I've been talking a long time. Take it over, you old dog.
All right, let's take a look at the standings here. NHL standings brought to you by Painting by Michaela. So just a quick check-in. We can see the Pacific Division here. Oilers in first place, 72 points, same as Vegas. Better winning percentage, so that puts them up front there. I always think is something so interesting is when you look at the goal differential plus minus, how the playoff cutoff is almost always right at like it's basically your differentials in the green, you're in the playoffs, it's in the red, you're not. That's it's not hard and fast, but it's really close. So the other thing I wanted to look at here specifically, so now this is jumping to the West wild card, is the Nashville Predators. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Yeah. They are 18 points out of that second wild card. We all know they had a horrific start, but I think people thought that they would come around. It would kind of come around with the considering they were a playoff team last year and with the additions they made. But it's kind of stopped being a story because they just haven't come around. 4-6 in their last 10. I mean, they're done. I mean, they're done, right? I don't think that's sitting on the fence to say that they're done. No. I mean, it's just crazy. And so I guess, Struddy, what happens to them this offseason? Do you have any thoughts on they had such a big offseason? Yeah. Can they stay the course? They got to do something, right? Barry Trotz said if they kept losing, they were looking at a rebuild, but he hasn't started that yet.
Individually, I like the players they brought in, but I don't know who their centers are. Right? Who are the centers on that team? You do have to have elite or competent or elite centers to play these guys with, and I don't think they have it there. Brady Shea is a good defenseman. I don't know that him and Yossi are the best fit together, so they're playing them apart. I've always felt building massively through free agency is a dangerous game. It doesn't work all the time. Those contracts are. I think they're. I don't know if unmovable, but they're probably gonna be difficult to move. They've got to start injecting some younger players, and Barry did indicate that they do have younger players they'll start bringing in. But they're not making the playoffs this year, and I'm really worried about their coach. Andrew Burnett is he's the coach there. I think that he might be a guy who's under fire. Zubes come this offseason looking for a change, and unfortunately for him, he was in Florida, did a pretty good job, and he was replaced there, and that team went on to win the Stanley Cup. Comes to Nashville, where he played as a player, and it's difficult. The team they put together. So I think that's probably where it starts, unfortunately. And I'm not advocating for a guy to lose his job, but usually in this situation, they want a fresh set of eyes on this group. I think we have to also indicate, like, it's a pretty big road trip. The Oilers are on the road for 5 road games in a row here. So, I mean, Philly, Washington, especially watching pretty good teams. And I think it's like, I want to say Tampa, Florida, Carolina. So you're facing some of the class teams of the East as they come back. And those are tough. And I think it's a 3 and 4 too, the Oilers start with. So, Connor's playing Thursday night. He'll just, I had a friend tell me it was interesting. If they win Thursday night, I'm guessing he's going to have more than one beer, the whole team. And then Friday, probably make his way to Philly, and then no practice. I would then play Saturday morning. Because it's a 1 o'clock game. Then I believe another 1 o'clock game local time out east. So if they lose, it's different. But and he should celebrate. If they win, he should celebrate. Like, I'm not saying he shouldn't, but it's going to be a little bit different to get back in there with your top player, having played the whole time. And then, the 2 Swedes will probably meet the team there because they probably got the time off, and then practice Friday, then get in there Saturday. So this could be it's a tough road trip game wise, who they're playing. And then I think they got to try to come back with, even 500 would probably be a good place to start, or that should be the floor. Maybe Zubes, better way of putting it.
5 points. You want 5 points out of those 10 games to feel okay about yourself?
I think that's the floor. I mean, they're good teams. Those are good teams they're playing, So yeah.
And are those? Is it hard to go out east and start early?
Yeah, because you got to think. I mean, it's not too bad. One isn't too bad, but it's like 11 o'clock. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a battle. But their team's getting better. They're maturing, understanding how to play those early games, because it's hard. At first, it's really hard to get in there and play those early games. Okay, Zoops, let's roll into our last break here. When we come back, time to play the field. And we're going to talk about different things around the world of sports, starting with some hockey. So stay with us. Thanks to everyone who's tuning in over their lunch hour.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
Join over 250,000 Canadians who have upgraded to Canada's best mattress. Douglas is proudly made in Canada and ships directly to your door for free. Douglas is easy to set up. Enjoy perfectly balanced comfort and an easy-to-clean machine washable cover. Get a free sleep bundle with your Douglas mattress. Try risk-free for 365 nights. Get your Douglas mattress today.
You chime in on the backside with that other one. Thank you. I love the graphics. Zubie, you absolutely killed it. The graphics are so good. All right, time to play the field now, everybody. Brought to you by our friends at Play Alberta. As the playoff race heats up, make every game count with odds boost, player props, and same-game parlays. There's no better way to raise the stakes while teams fight for those crucial points. Get a $50 free bet this month by depositing with code GYB02. Visit playalberta.ca. All right, so in this segment, we're going to go around and just kind of talk about things that are going on in the world of sports. Obviously, everyone's focused on the Four Nations, so let's get you updated on some injury issues. Charlie McAvoy has an infection in his shoulder, and he's had some procedures to try to alleviate some of that infection. He is a no-go. He will not play, according to the Bruins physician. He will not play in the game Thursday night. So he had a really big impact on the game. He is out. It sounds like Austin Matthews will play. It sounds like Matthew Tkachuk will play. They both practiced today for Team USA. Brady Struck did not practice, but he will also play, according to his brother, big brother, who's telling him he's going to play. So that's kind of where things are at for the Americans right now. On the Canadian side, I think we kind of know where everybody's at. So Zub, no real surprises, although the Charlie McAvoy is a huge huge loss for Team USA.
Yeah, it sure sounds like it. And then the Quinn Hughes thing, that kind of got muddled.
Right.
Now I see video that he's practicing, but there was talk yesterday he was headed to Boston, a la Thomas Harley, and he's obviously not because he's practicing, but he's in a regular practice jersey for the Canucks today on their ice. But how did that get? Was it the same guy who reported the Shohei Ohtani plane flying to Toronto?
Yeah.
That
So
said,
you know what? I think it was Mike Sullivan said that he was going to make his way there. And I saw him, he was practicing for Vancouver and he's practicing again there today.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's just to be clear, he was unable to play. So he was replaced by another player. Well, now he would be an injury replacement player as well. But if everyone's healthy, including Jake Sanderson, he can't go there because they're healthy. He can't replace someone in the lineup. He has to, he can't like healthy scratch someone. He can only replace someone due to injury. So I mean, if he's practicing in Vancouver today, I have a hard time believing he's going to fly all the way there tonight and then play tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then they play in Vegas Saturday, fly all the way home. And all this while saying he hasn't played in 3 weeks. So I think it's a hard time to believe that he's going to actually make this happen. So Quinn Hughes, my personal opinion, no insider knowledge, I don't think he plays. Sticking with Vancouver, Thatcher Demko has had a lot of bad luck for injuries. We know he had that muscle issue around his knee that kept him out of a long stretch of last year and this year in the playoffs. Then he had a back issue. Well, he's now week to week, according to the Canucks. It's a lower body injury, apparently unrelated to the knee injury he had. But Zubie, you're out there in BC. I look at this as, he's a good goalie, but you want him on the team. He needs to play. He needs to be available to play with Miller gone, Pettersson struggling, and now this guy. These are supposed to be their three studs. Obviously, Quinn Hughes is above them all. But what a question mark that is. The Demko injuries seemingly are endless.
I think from the folks I know who are Canuck fans, and I know quite a few, the confidence is gone that he's ever going to be. I don't know, maybe he can get his game back, but I think there's real worry and concern about whether he'll ever kind of shed the Band-Aid, a moniker. And their confidence in him is shaken for sure. And they were talking extension with Lankinen, but they haven't signed anything with him.
I don't think so. No, he was a late signing. But you know what's interesting? It's interesting you bring that up because I've been thinking about Demko. He may be placed on a games limit, right? You might say you're 48 games a year or whatever the number is. Like, I don't know what the number is, but you know what I mean? Like, this is your max. And then they'll have to sign like a one, AB, if that makes sense, to play the other, not quite half the games, but you know what I'm saying? Because he is a really good goalie, but he is always seemingly injured. And that's frustrating as a teammate. Like, buddy, we need you out there. And I know he doesn't mean to get hurt, but that's where he's at.
And you have to be concerned, even though they're saying this is different. That last injury was like, there was so much mist. It was like cloak and dagger. They weren't telling us about exactly what it was. And they had never seen this before. And it's something he's just going to have to live with and play through. So I don't know if it's lower body, but I don't know. I'd be very concerned that it's somehow connected to whatever he was going through before. And I feel bad for the guy because, he was looking like he was going to be the next kind of all-world attendee there in Vancouver. And I wonder if they did sign Lankinen to the extension that he wants, is Demko become sort of a reclamation project for another team that feels like they're a goalie away? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the offseason there.
Well, but they have so many decisions to make there. It's crazy. You think about where they were in the playoffs last year to where they are now today as an organization and franchise. It's really messy.
Yeah.
Let's shift over now to the NBA. We both love the NBA. So I'll start. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander announced that, or through one of the insiders, was announced that he is leaving his current agent. Now, the interesting part is the timing of it. He's having an MVP quality season. Also, he's eligible for a supermax contract that would ring in around $300 million. So I'm sure he already knows who his new agent's going to be. I couldn't find confirmation who it was at the taping of this. But he is a really good player, a great Canadian player. And when you leave your agent at that time, I think it means you don't trust him to do the job properly. So big news in the NBA for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, and speaking of Shea, wanted to talk about, of course, NBA had their All-Star game and festivities this weekend, and something that came out of that was they had they did a mini tournament like the NHL. They're following a lot of the NHL's lead, believe it or not, in some ways, and they had a sort of a mini tournament, and one of the teams was like a world team. And then after the tournament went down, Wembanyama and Antetokounmpo specifically, those two guys came out and said, I'd love to see a format of a full regular All-Star game that would be USA versus the world. So also on that team was Jokic, SGA, Siakam, and then they also have Karl Anthony Towns. They got Doncic, they got Jamal Murray. I'm not following it that closely, but why Jamal Murray might not have been there. Like, the guys that would be on the world team would be like really clearly defined, and some of the USA guys would end up missing out. But what do you think about that? Would that entice you more to want to watch in? They all kind of said that they feel like that would up the ante, create a little bit more intensity, maybe a little more defense in the All-Star game.
Well, I love the way you phrase that, because I think what it would do, it's world against USA. And that always drives it up. Like, you just that intensity, if it's just teams and you have different guys from different teams. And this year, people drafted teams, Shaq or
right.
Sir Charles. And then there was a bit of a play-in tournament with some G League players and some younger players. And I get, like, I think they're trying to jazz it up. Right. And I respect that. So I'm not going to crap on them for that. But when it seems to be, think of Ryder Cup, USA against, Europe, right? Or I guess the world, whatever. Like, those things, it brings excitement, brings intensity, adds an extra layer, because it's country versus country, or a country versus the world. So I like it. I think, and if the players are asking for it, I think as Commissioner Adam Silver has to listen. You have to hear what they're saying and listen, and probably go for it. So I think I bet you this is going to be really talked about in the NBA offices down in New York.
It's always a great show, the entrances and stuff. Like, the NBA does a fabulous job with the show part of it, and that carries into the game because it's all dunks and alley-oops and crazy stuff. But I think a step up in the intensity. And I've been surprised by the Four Nations, absolutely. And I think that there is something for sure, no matter what the competition is, when you're representing your country. These are competitive people, and they amp it up. They take it to another level. So I do, and I would watch it. I'm usually more watching the skills competition when NBA All-Star Weekend rolls around. I would be curious to watch that game, probably more so than I normally would.
I hear you, man. I hear you. All right, that was Playing the Field, brought to you by Play Alberta. We're going to now get to our very excited. I'm excited for this segment. You and I have been beating this one up, Zubie, all over Schauger to include this in the program. So we are. It is now time to get off the fence. Brought to you by our good friends at DLR Vinyl Products, with locations in Calgary and Edmonton. Whether you're a homeowner, contractor, or builder, DLR is the most reliable source for vinyl fence. Opened in 2005 and not going anywhere. Unmatched service and high-quality North American-made products. Visit dlrvinylproducts.ca. Okay, so the idea behind this is that one of us is going to make a case for why something is a fact that we believe, or true, to be true or not true. And then the opposite guy can kind of challenge us or talk about it. Then we obviously want to hear from you on the stream. So the first ever, the debut is about Vladdy Guerrero Jr. and the Toronto Blue Jays. There was a deadline passed of Monday night that they have that extension in place. That was Vladdy's idea. Now, if you don't know Vladdy, he is a superstar in Major League Baseball, homegrown talent by the Blue Jays. They were unable to meet the demands that Vladdy had, or Vladdy was unwilling to come down to the number that the Blue Jays had. So now what's going to happen? There'll be no negotiating over the year, and Vladdy is expected to become a free agent after the season in November, and he can sign with anybody. And it's expected he would leave because everyone's bidding for his services. The Blue Jays chased Shohei Ohtani. They chased Juan Soto, throwing buckets of money at the buckets of money they were throwing at him. They were being used. I believe they were being used.
Yeah.
Now when they have a homegrown talent who other people will throw buckets of money at, they're unwilling to do it. It is a huge mistake that they didn't do it. He will move on. This team will not have an identity. And will other players will Dante Bichette want to sign with the Toronto Blue Jays? Blue Jays management and ownership has failed the fans of the Blue Jays by not meeting the terms that Vladdy Guerrero wanted. You send him a blank check, he fills it out, and you cash it for him on the other side, Zubie. That's how you treat homegrown stars. They didn't treat him like that. They've made him a huge mistake.
Yeah, and it's probably better podcasting if I disagree with you, but I feel I've been scouring the Twitter machine, just trying to find someone kind of saying something positive about Atkins and Shapiro and what they've done with these guys. And I mean, there is not, Blue Jays fans are angry. There is nothing. And you see them go out and and they, it wasn't not a check like they'd have to cut for Vladdy, but they signed Max Scherzer. It's just a 1-year deal, not much risk there. Yep. They signed Santander, 5-year deal. And but even there's like a 30-year-old, how many times have we heard this before in sports? 30-year-old has career year in contract season. And I like Santander. He's on my fantasy team. He's probably going to be a keeper for me this year, but they put that money there. It's $100 million. It's nowhere close to what Vladdy's going to get, but they're not adverse to spending money. And there's even an interview with Atkins where he basically says that there's no budget constraints as it relates to this. It's just them digging in their heels for whatever reason. They're going to lose him. They're going to lose Bichette because they're both up. And Vladdy's 25. That's the craziest thing about it. He's 25. And I did some quick numbers on it. They said Soto got 15 years, 765 is 51 million. This is not confirmed, but the rumor that I heard for Vladdy was 13 years, 585, which would be 45 million per year. So $6 million per year, even less than Soto. So it's not like he's trying to jump Soto or anything like that. If there's any accuracy in those numbers. It's bananas, and I think the regret is going to be gigantic.
It's huge. And I'm making a prediction right now. All the free agents will be traded before the end of the season. And they're going to get a bunch of young players back, and they'll free up some cap space. I was reading an article by Steve Phillips on tsn.ca, and he predicted it as well. Now, he's obviously more of a baseball guy, but Bichette, Guerrero, Scherzer, they're all going to be traded away. They'll get cap space back, and they'll get young assets. Maybe that's the plan all along, was to retool. But I have a hard time giving up a homegrown star. I have a hard time with the Zubes. I can't do it. I cannot, just to bring it back to the Oilers. When you go in to talk to Connor McDavid, you bring a contract and you just bring a pen. You slide it over, said Connor and his agent, fill it out, and then just pass it back. We got other people to spend on, but you are our guy. And we're going to sign you no matter what matter it takes. You just do the number. That is how it works with superstars. I don't know that Vladdy's at McDavid's level, Subs, but you need to sign your own stars.
Yeah. He's a homegrown guy. He's a top 10, maybe top 5 hitter in the league. Crazy. His defensive game has improved massively.
He's in shape now.
Yeah. Mo says Vlad also won't age poorly as a player. He walks, slugs for power, and has high baseball IQ. And great defensively. And yeah, I don't think there's not many people here saying Atkins has a plan, trust the process. There's not many people in Blue Jays Nation feeling good about this decision that I can find. If they're out there on the stream, please chime in, but I had trouble finding many on Twitter.
No, and I think the two managers of this group, not Schneider, but the two president and manager, will be looking for new opportunities after this year. I have a hard time envisioning those guys being around.
Oh, here we go. We got one here. Jeff Shrest says, I'm not paying. Jeff Shrest says, I'm not paying $450 million for an error-prone first baseman, and he definitely is not a superstar. He is simply a good player sometimes. Well, Jeff, I'll give you this. You're not on the fence. You're picking a side. You're off the fence.
And I love it. I love that. And I think as we go through here, when we get off the fence, we want to hear from you. We want you to chime in on the stream. So, Zubie, great first show. I've enjoyed it. And thank you, everyone who tuned in, commented. Take a second and press the thumbs up button on our YouTube stream. Thanks to Cam Moon, to Noodles, and you, Zubes. The graphics are crazy good. So you have fun?
Oh, yeah. Tons of fun. Yeah, it was fun. I felt like it was This felt to me like, you know, Shager is like Mr. Miyagi, and he kind of taught us in, you know, in a very subtle way how to wax the car, and then he handed us the keys.
Yeah,
And
you know he's going to have a critique for us. There's going to be a 5-page email coming immediately after we sign off.
I hope that doesn't accidentally go to my junk folder.
Yeah, no, I'm not reading it either. Let's just be honest. We killed it. So again, thanks all the listeners for tuning in, and we're really excited about this new project. So we'll keep you up to date and who's coming on and what's going on, but it'll be similar to this every week, and we're really, really excited to bring this to you. As we go out the door, I've got a play of the day, and these are going to be a little bit unique. And I found a gentleman, Truett Haynes, who ran a marathon in 2 hours, 42 minutes, and 51 seconds. That in itself isn't too incredible. What is incredible is he wore him in jeans, tight jeans, Zubie. Look at this guy, just high stepping down the road with no shirt on, and look how tight those things. Those are painted on.
I automatically hate this guy. He's rubbing our noses in it. All the people, maybe not you, but people who look like me, people who might want to eat cheesy poofs before they go to bed. He's rubbing our noses in it.
And to make everyone feel worse about ourselves, he has the world record, the most push-ups in 24 hours, 10,001 push-ups in 24 hours. Those pecs, I believe it. Those are 2 pillows, probably from our good buddies at Douglas Mattresses.
Definitely.
Are on his chest.
Yeah.
That's how big those pecs are.
Yeah.
All right, Zubie, any final words before we say goodbye?
No, I'm good. I think we had a clean show. I had a lot of fun. My nerves calmed as we went along, and I made it. I didn't sweat through my chair or anything. So I'd say all in all, thumbs up.
Good stuff. So thanks, everyone. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Tell your friends. Thanks for tuning in. We can't wait to bring this to you every week. Talk to you next week. Look for a Got Your Back podcast, probably Thursday or Friday. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye-bye. Oh, where's my logo locker? Oh, first slip up. There it is.